Good day, Internet.
Good day, Internet.
Meow, 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 meow.
Oh no, someone fell off the.
It's Feline Shannon.
No, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like who is that cat puppet in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and Land of Make Believe?
Oh, I don't remember, but I remember what his
Henrietta or
whiskers
something?
look like. Mrs. Henrietta? Yeah. Miss Henrietta?
Something Henrietta, but she would always say meow 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 meow.
That's true. I had totally forgotten about that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Henrietta is a great name for a cat.
It is. I really like that name.
Maybe I will, or great name for anybody, really. I'll, because you could do like Henry for short. Would it be a girl? It's cute. I like the name Henry.
Talk about cat names. And speaking in cat tongues.
Yeah. If you can decipher what Shannon said, please
you
write
might
us the transcript. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com.
I think cats are my spirit animals. No, wait. Oh, I had a great discussion about spirit animals while I was at DEF CON.
Oh,
you did?
Was this at the alternative animal section?
Get together?
Pretty much, yeah. We were at Hofbrauhaus. I mean, if that's the alternative animal,
I love that place.
I have only been to it once.
It's
Me
so
too.
much fun.
But I liked it.
It's really fun. I do like an annual meetup with a bunch of hackers there at the very end of the weekend. And it's so fun. So we were talking about spirit animals. One of my friends was like, Shannon, what's your spirit animal? And then I just like slammed my hands on the table and I looked at him and I went, Ukrainian elk. He was just like,
Is that your spirit animal, or you just kind of wanted to throw him off?
I got weird at the end of the weekend.
Well, so how do you determine
at the end of the
how do you determine what
German
your spirit animal is?
I think it's whatever comes to your mind at the time.
I thought you needed some sort of revelation, like an intense, psychic or spiritual
I think that's probably where the term started, but I think it's more just like, what's your favorite animal, really?
Yep.
Because if someone says like, what's your spirit animal? I'd be like, panther.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if
but like, isn't
the panther spirit is in me, but I
isn't the
really
animal
like
supposed
panthers.
to manifest itself in some way to reveal information to you?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think the animal is like, I don't know, speaking to the people beyond the grave and like giving you like factoids.
Well, no,
I actually don't know. Maybe you're right.
Well, like I only base this on every kind of television show or movie that kind of has a spirit animal, and it's always something about revealing an inner truth that you already knew, but didn't realize, or you weren't cognizant of, right? So there's the episode of Simpsons where Homer goes on a weird psychedelic journey after eating a super hot pepper at a pepper eating contest, and he has to cool the spice with some candle wax, and he goes into a weird vision where he sees a fox voiced by Johnny Cash, revealing information about truths about himself and his relationship with Marge. No?
That just sounds like a trip.
Well, yeah, but isn't that part of what a spirit animal? Or am I thinking of a spirit guide? Are those different things?
I think spirit animal is just a thing that you say when you're like, I like this thing. That's my spirit animal. Like a friend of mine said something like, she says like her mom was like rode a mechanical bull and like did really well at a bar recently. And I was like, Pat is my spirit animal. Like, haha. She's not an animal. I'm just like happy to hear the story.
So if you go to internetspiritguide.com, the Internet Spirit Guide will tell you your fortune.
Did you check yours?
Yeah, it says everything you put on the internet stays on the internet.
That's not a fortune. That's just a fact.
It says train yourself to internetspiritguide.com. Train yourself to let go of all the data you fear to lose.
What's it called?
internetspiritguide.com.
Mine is, you will know the good from the bad when you are calm at peace on the internet. That's impossible, Internet Spirit Guide.
How do I choose an animal? It's just she's just like a trolling.
It's the internet
site.
spirit guide.
This is not. It's spirit animal. I think Roger is that the Simpsons episode led you astray.
I don't think that's a real animal.
So
It
the
looks like a
internet spirit guide
cat,
is my friend.
Kind of. Or no, it looks like a person inside a bag.
Oh, in the internet spirit guide's bag?
Yeah, and the throbbing colors is giving me a headache.
Some of this is just Star Wars quotes.
Do you recognize the person in the picture?
Is it you?
Is that you?
No, it's Sarah. My friend from Hack 5.
Oh, I'm like, it's not me.
It's like, I guess maybe if I squint.
That is so wait, so what's in the bag?
I think it's like a stuffed animal snake or something.
Everybody who's just listening, you really take a gander. There's a lot going on here for such a simple website.
There is.
We decided a long time at Hack 5 that Sarah was our internet spirit guide. So Darren made this website for her, and then they came up with a bunch of sayings.
That's so funny.
I like BioCows. Powerful you have become. The darknet I sense in you.
Yeah. I sense it too, BioCow.
Yeah, I don't think it's a darknet. It might be lunch.
Lunch. So funny. Lunch.
Spirit, like my wife is super into spirit salads.
What's a spirit salad?
It's a salad that represents your spiritual outlook on life. You know, like it's a personal concoction of ingredients you think best represent your spiritual disposition. Like
okay.
I guess if you were super aggressive or angry, it would be a lot of bitter vegetables and meat,
so it's not meant to balance out. It's meant to mirror.
Yes, exactly.
Or inner whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, spirit salad. I guess. Well, I had a salad for lunch. I'm not sure what it means. It's kind of the same salad I always have, but.
Oh, is it the one with? Wait, were you the one that? Yeah, no, you did
the
ahi.
With ahi. The ahi was a special Sunday salad. This was just sort of like whatever I had around, which is like avocado, tomato, olives, lettuce.
Is it wrong for me to think that when you said Sunday salad, I immediately thought of 3 scoops of ice cream with hot fudge?
Ew. Over a bed of arugula, drizzled in balsamic. It's not wrong.
Actually, there is ice cream that they do that, right? They drizzle it with balsamic vinegar or something.
Yeah. Sometimes, like especially in like a fancy restaurant.
It feels like when William Sonoma meets your ice cream.
Well, because if you heat up a like certain kinds of balsamic, they do have a sweetness to them. I guess they probably do, even if you don't heat them up. But I can think of a couple of sort of, I don't know, drizzled balsamic that I remember being warm.
I don't know. It's kind of weird to encounter ice cream that normally doesn't share the dairy, sugar, and maybe more sugar in a different format, like chocolate syrup or whipped cream or cherries or sprinkles or more ice cream. I want ice cream.
I have not had any ice cream. This is not a goal I'm going for. It's just sort of like I stopped bringing pints home because I don't have any self-control. The pint won't last more than the evening. I'll just eat the whole thing.
It's my wife.
It's just, yeah. But if I don't have it, I'm not freaking out about it. Like I can ignore the fact that ice cream exists. But man, it has been a long time.
Is it weird that I can only eat like 2 or 3 bites of ice cream and then I'm done?
Oh yes, I would love to feel that way. I feel like it's like once I get going, I'm like, well, especially because I don't know, probably depends on what ice cream you're getting, but like I love Haagen-Dazs Rocky Road. It's just the best Rocky Road because their marshmallow is really soft. It's good marshmallow, yeah. And you'll get a little crater, and it's like I can't just eat a little bit of the crater. I have to finish the crater. And then I'm like, well, now it's unbalanced. So I should eat like part of the other side just so it's like more balanced when I put it back in the freezer. And then I just eat the whole thing. It's just,
I don't even.
and I can admit it. I don't have any self-control. I can't have that around me. Unless it was like a crappy ice cream. You know, there's like the certain ice cream that has been in your grandma's freezer for a really long time. And you're like, I don't even want that.
Oh, you mean like the Neapolitan that only has like the vanilla or
Yeah,
chocolate?
I mean, I can't
left?
really think of a brand that I hate really, but there's, you know, when you see it, you look in the freezer and you're like, it looks like it's been there.
No,
a
it's
while.
the
I don't really
one
want
that's ice
Mhm.
milk or ice milk like where
that. Yeah, where it gets crystally.
because they take out the
Yeah.
cream and fat, so it's better for you. But or at least if you're lactose intolerant, you can eat it and not have any problems.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they take the. It's just like
It's the-
non-fat milk or whatever, low
Yeah.
skim milk that they use. I used to
I'm-
eat it all the time.
Just,
And it's no fun.
I'm on the full fat train. You're eating ice cream. Have fun.
I want ice cream. Ice cream. I should have bought some.
We could all get ice cream after the show.
I always
I think
get
that's fair.
I always get one of those half gallon Tillamook's.
I've had, it's the same brand as the cheese, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Good cheese.
it's pretty good ice cream.
Yeah.
I'm not a big. I actually don't like most. Like I'm not a big fan of the dryers, like the frou-frou stuff where they do like the Snickers or all the other flavors. Like it just
have
has to
some
be
favorite.
traditionally like Rocky Road or chocolate or vanilla or something.
I like the Ben and Jerry's flavor, everything but the ... has like every kind of candy smashed in there somehow. That
Oh my
one's
gosh.
pretty good. It is pretty good. I mean, as you're eating it, you're like, this is absurd, but it tastes so good.
Do you like
Never liked cherry?
Do you like Americone Dream?
Is that the one with the waffle and?
Yeah, with the waffle cone, bits of it inside the ice cream. It has
I'm sure I've had
Stephen
it. I can't
Colbert's
remember if
face
I
on it.
like it or not. Yeah, no, I know it. Can't remember. Anything that's peanut butter and chocolate, I like.
so
We've
you'd
talked
like
about
your-
this before. Like
Yeah.
Baskin Robbins does not use great peanut butter or great chocolate, but I still would get a scoop of that if I was at a Baskin Robbins.
Baskin
I'm
Robbins.
chocolate all the way.
Chocolate all the way.
I like pina
I
colada
like
ice cream.
cinnamon sugar ice cream too. Have you tried that?
Is that like
No.
a snickerdoodle? And,
Actually,
Very
yes.
rare.
Yeah,
hard to
no,
find.
that sounds good. You know what I did this morning? Speaking of food, for once on GDI, I had grape nuts with my pea milk and blueberries, and then I sprinkled cinnamon on top, and like kind of just mashed it in there, so it was all cinnamony.
Can you explain what pea milk is? Because I stopped right there.
Yeah, it's not what you think. It's like almond milk, but instead of almond milk, it's milk from peas.
like snap
Like
peas.
peas, the vegetable.
Oh, snap peas. What? I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
It's a thing. Yeah, there's this brand that I really
Whoa.
like, and you can get a type that has sugar, but you can get the unsweetened original or vanilla. Both have 0 grams of sugar in the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah, so I feel it's good. It's a milk alternative. But yeah, the cinnamon really made it special.
You know what makes this special?
What's that?
DTNS.
Yeah, let's do a show.
So give yourself like a 3-second count in, and then we'll go from there.
Sounds good. August 13th. Yep, that's the right date. All right, let's do this. In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, Tumblr sells for tech pennies on the dollar. Will Snap's newest spectacles find their market? And a DEF CON wrap-up extravaganza.
You know what? I'm playing the
that?
music. Let's do that one more time.
Okay.
Because I am-
Once more with
We'll do it
feeling.
live.
All right,
Okay.
give yourself a countdown.
All
I'll play
right.
the music.
In 3, 2. Coming up on DTNS, Tumblr sells for tech pennies on the dollar. Will Snap's newest spectacles find their market? And a DEF CON wrap-up extravaganza. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, August 13th, 2019. Tom Merritt is out for Worldcon this week. From Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
From San Francisco, I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Before the show started, Shannon and Roger and I were talking about our favorite kinds of ice cream and what ice cream does not deserve our time. We talk about all sorts of wider conversations on our expanded show, Good Day Internet, and you can join in on the conversation by becoming a member at patreon.com/DTNS. Let's start with a few tech things you should know. In a blog post, Microsoft's Mojang development team announced the super duper graphics pack for Minecraft was canceled, citing that the pack was too technically demanding to implement across devices. The update was originally announced at E3 in 2017 and promised to add dynamic shadow and light models, screen space reflections, material-based lighting with 4K resolution support while keeping the game's raw underlying assets untouched.
A recent FCC filing hints at an upcoming release of a wireless Super Nintendo controller for the Nintendo Switch. Discovered by Reset Era user Link83, the filing contains an image that looks like the back of an SNES controller and has a model number that seems in line with other Nintendo Switch model numbers.
Oculus co-founder Nate Mitchell announced on Reddit today he's leaving Facebook after 7 years and is going to take some time off to spend it with family, calling it bittersweet news. Mitchell most recently served as head of VR product at Facebook. His Oculus co-founder Palmer Luckey was reportedly fired from Facebook in 2017.
And CBS is merging with Viacom. The two companies split up in 2005 and have been in negotiations over the last few months. The new company will be rebranded Viacom CBS, and Bob Bakish, current CEO of Viacom, will become CEO of both companies. Viacom CBS now owns Showtime, Nickelodeon, MTV, BET, Comedy Central, and Paramount Network, and, of course, CBS.
Somebody on Twitter called it a conscious recoupling of the two companies. Isn't that sweet?
I like it.
On Monday, the Wall Street Journal reported that Verizon had agreed to sell Tumblr to WordPress owner Automatic for an undisclosed amount. Axios originally reported that the deal was well less than $20 million. Within a few hours, though, that reported number had fallen to a reported less than $3 million. Now, that's significant because back in 2013, Yahoo paid $1.1 billion. So people were saying $20 million. What in the heck? Now, within a few hours of that initial 20 million number, the reported number dropped to a reported less than $3 million. It was $10 million, somewhere in the middle there. So we went from under 20 million to a real fire sale at under $3 million. Again, Yahoo paid over $1 billion for Tumblr back in 2013. And Verizon acquired Tumblr when it purchased Yahoo in 2017. So Verizon was the current owner until yesterday. Verizon then banned adult content on Tumblr back in December of 2018. You might recall it led to some angry users and actually fewer users as well. A lot of people left the platform for others. Automatic CEO Matt Mullenweg says that he doesn't plan to reverse the adult content ban. So anybody who was excited about that not happening, not at the beginning anyway. Mullenweg tweeted on Monday about that, quote, "I think the internet and adult content seekers will be fine. Life finds a way. If people want big policy changes here, put pressure on app stores of Apple and Google. No one else has any leverage." Mullenweg also said that Tumblr will serve as a complementary site to WordPress. Well, okay. Besides the fact that it sold for such little money, which really points to Yahoo running it into the ground. Shannon, I mean, had you been active on Tumblr lately? You know, what are your thoughts on this huge price drop from just 6 years ago?
No, I have never been an active user on Tumblr. It's always been something kind of on the outskirts that I was just kind of looking in on as sometimes a reader, sometimes a follower of content, but generally was never an active user. I did have a lot of friends that were on there as community members, either posting their own personal fan art or works of art. Tons and tons of like anime people in that anime community. They were a part of the Tumblr scene. So a lot of them were very upset because some of them like drew adult content and they were taken off of the Tumblr website. So I can speak kind of as a third party watching how upset they were, noticing the changes in Tumblr and seeing how it kind of just died after that ban. I'm not too surprised about the price changes here. $3 million. That is not a lot of money at all.
And it would, and apparently less. I mean, you don't
Yeah.
hear it. You don't hear numbers that low, even with platforms that were once huge that kind of get sold off to other companies in their dwindling twilight years. This is low. I mean, you can't buy a house in San Francisco for under $3 million at this point. I mean, it's sort of shocking.
It is. It's very shocking. At that point, it just seems like they were just trying to get rid of it, just giving it to whoever would give them money to, I don't know, pay the bills at that point. And after that, they were just done with it. I really hope that they do bring it back to life, though, because Tumblr did have a very big community, especially for those people that I had mentioned. So I know that they are still there, and I know that they want to find a platform that would work for them. He mentioned, of course, Mullenweg did mention that he's not going to bring back the adult content, as you mentioned. It's still going to be banned, so we're just going to have to see what happens.
Yeah, I used to be a very active Tumblr user. I haven't for some years, so there's probably some cool features that I didn't even know about because I probably haven't logged in 2 years. But I do think that if we take the price tag aside, a company like WordPress is probably the best company to buy a platform like Tumblr, because WordPress and Tumblr work very differently, but they achieve the same goal. And perhaps WordPress feels like there is a need with its user base or its potential user base to have something that's a little more simplistic. Maybe there's some social networking capabilities that that get bundled in that WordPress doesn't really take advantage of now, that can make that could be more attractive for Automatic as a whole.
It could definitely be pretty cohesive for both of them. Snap announced Spectacles 3, a limited release redesign of its AR sunglasses. The glasses come in either carbon, which is black, or mineral, which is a beigeish gold color, feature a sleeker look than previous spectacles, and add a second camera to add depth perception. Snap added in some new 3D effects and says the glasses can capture 70 videos and more than 200 photos on a charge, and offers 4 gigs of storage. Spectacles 3 also comes with a 3D viewer similar to Google Cardboard for viewing 3D creations on your phone. Spectacles 3 goes on sale in November for $380. Last year's model was $150. So we're seeing a pretty definite increase in price on the new ones, but they also seem to come with a lot of nice new features.
Yeah, new features, but more than double, quite a bit more than double the price of last year's model. Is my first takeaway from this is, okay, they look pretty nice. I know there's only 2 colors, and it's a very specific style. This is a style that I personally don't look very good in, because I've tried on sunglasses that kind of have those, the roundness sort of with the flat top. But I think that they look pretty sleek. However, for this price point, let's think about the people who are going to buy spectacles. The majority of Snap's user base is young folks, right?
Right.
When we occasionally talk about what young people are doing the most on social networks, Snap is always like number 1 or number 2 among people between 16 and 24. So when you match that with this price point, you're really pricing the majority of Snap's user base out of buying spectacles. I mean, $380, I mean, that's a lot, at any age, but certainly if you're a teenager.
Who in that market point, in that price point and age, is actually going to be able to afford these glasses?
And what's also, it seems limiting, okay, they look nice. Okay, maybe Snap is saying, well, we're trying to appeal to an elite group of people who are very fashion conscious, which Snap actually said that they were, which might give them an out if they don't sell a lot of them. Like, well, we only sold them to people who consider themselves very fashion forward. But the spectacles, while they do have some new features, they also don't do things that the people complained about in previous models, such as you can't upload anything from the spectacles directly into Snapchat, which is something that you would want to do, right? That's the whole point of it. You got to get them into your iPhone, mess with filters on the iPhone and or on Android device, and then go to Snapchat from there. So it's as cumbersome as it was before. It would be like the Apple Watch continuing to need an iPhone paired with it at all times. People get sick of that after a while. So it seems like they're making inroads in places that people didn't necessarily ask for.
I think it's kind of fun how fancy they look nowadays compared to what we originally saw with like Google Glasses back in the day.
True.
I think that this is also going to help change the perception of people's view of surveillance when it comes from somebody's glasses, and kind of compare it akin to smartphones, which we say day to day and don't necessarily consider to be surveillance if somebody is holding one of those in a public place. So it will be pretty interesting to see how these are perceived from the public, especially at that price point, and given that they look so much better than originally like Google Glasses.
Well, speaking of surveillance, 4 dating apps, Grindr, Romeo, Recon, and 3Fun, I have heard of one of those 4, collectively claim 10 million users, so there are a lot of people using the platforms when you put them all together, were found to expose users' exact locations in near real time just by knowing a username. Researchers at Pen Test Partners created a tool that used spoofed latitude and longitude locations to receive distances to user profiles from multiple points, then triangulated the data to return the almost precise location of a specific user using publicly accessible APIs. In Grindr's case, the location can even factor in altitude. So if you know what building someone's in, you might know what floor they're on too. When contacted by ThreatPost, Romeo, the app, said it allows users to reveal a nearby position rather than using GPS, though that isn't a default setting, which is important. Recon moved to a snap to grid location policy after being contacted by the researchers. That's where an individual's location is rounded or snapped to the nearest grid center, so it's not as precise. Grindr didn't respond to the research at all, at least at the time of this recording. And 3Fun, the researchers dubbed a train wreck of leaked locations, pics, and personal details.
This is horrible.
It
I
is.
mean, from so many privacy standpoints, you think about dating apps, especially the fact that you are meeting new people and they are generally going to be pairing you with people that are near you in some kind of sense. So you're already having somebody that's nearby. What if, for example, this is totally up in the air, but what if you go on a first date and you completely upset the person you go on a date with? Technically, they already know your username and they might have social engineered other information out of you. They could easily find you with this location data. And that's very, very scary.
Well, and sure, because I mean, if they would know your username if you met them on the app, right? But this could also be used if for some reason you could figure out someone's username, even if you hadn't gone on that horrible first date. You know, the whole idea with dating apps is we know that apps have data privacy issues across the board. Talk about them all the time on the show. But dating apps specifically, they always, they're so much more cringeworthy because there is an expectation or at least an implication that you are maybe looking for love. Maybe it's physical, maybe it's emotional. There's all sorts of ways that we can define this, but you're going to get more creep factor with someone who knows where you are, what your habits are. You know, somebody knows where you are one time. That would make me uncomfortable. But if somebody kind of could follow me around throughout the day and I didn't know it, and I wasn't totally sure of the settings, which a lot of these dating apps, they don't make a big deal about how you can protect yourself more, because the whole point is location information helps the app get stronger. It's a real issue, and I'm not totally sure what the answer is besides people just being more aware of how these apps work. But it's also on the app too. When you first sign up, be super upfront about your personal safety, because it's going to come back to the app eventually.
You should have the option to opt in, give your consent to a lot of this accessible information in dating apps. I mean, think about the potential for stalkers or for harassers to be able to, like you said, follow you around. It's a very, very creepy vulnerability, and it puts a lot of people at risk. So I am glad to see that some of these apps are making changes, but they should have done it in the first place. It shouldn't have come down to researchers doing this research for them.
Yeah.
So moving on, the information reports Apple and Spotify are in talks to allow iPhone users to control Spotify playback of songs, playlists, and albums through Siri. The new integration would come from new APIs in iOS 13, which opens up the Siri framework to third-party music, podcast, audiobook, and radio apps. In March, Spotify filed a complaint with the European Commission over the App Store and Apple Music, saying, quote, "Apple won't allow us to be on HomePod, and they definitely won't let us must connect to Siri to play your jams. That language has now been removed from a website Spotify launched at the time. Spotify for Podcasters is also out of beta today, now giving all of its podcasters data on their listeners' music taste, age, gender, location, and duration of episodes listened to. Around 100,000 of the 450,000 podcasts in Spotify's catalog signed up for the beta program when it launched last October. The dashboard is available globally, but only in English for now.
Yeah, so Spotify being able to be played through Siri, I don't have a Spotify account. I use Apple Music, so this was not an issue that I've had. But boy, do I know a lot of complaining folks who have wanted this feature for some time. So that's cool. It sounds like Spotify and Apple are playing nicely together. You mentioned, Shannon, that Spotify had not so long ago, just a few mere months ago, complained that Apple was not going to let them do this. So it might just be new APIs in iOS 13 and everybody's happier. Might be a little bit of a handshake deal between the two companies. Hard to say. We don't have any evidence of that, but in any case, the users win. Spotify users, anyway. If you want to use Siri, but I'm more excited about these podcasting tools because as podcasters, anybody who's a podcaster really knows that getting data on your listeners is a hunt and peck operation at times.
It is so hard. I mean, one thing that I've always been curious about is the average view duration for my ThreatWire podcast, the audio and video version that I upload, mostly because on YouTube, I know exactly how long their average view duration is in an episode. And that's extremely important if you want to have advertisers on your videos or if you want to make some money through sponsorships. So having that same kind of data through podcasts, which is quite booming as an industry right now, would be so important. And I feel like this is going to potentially help a ton of podcasters make this more of an income generating content platform, as opposed to kind of an extra thing that you offer to people.
Yeah, I've been so frustrated with the iTunes Connect, I think it is, version of Podcast Connect via iTunes, version of how I can try to get data on the podcast that I produce, some of them anyway, because the data is really limited. You got streaming data versus download data. It's, Apple will only give you iOS device data, and some people definitely listen to stuff on desktop. It's frustrating to the point where sometimes I don't even want to use the data because I know that it's missing so much information and I'm not getting a super clear picture, although any data is better than none. But it does sound like, yeah, Spotify is going the extra mile. And the fact that 100,000 of its 450,000, and it's invite only, I believe, it was last time I checked, had already signed up for the beta shows that there are a lot of interested folks. So now that it's a public feature, at least public for people who are on the platform already, I can see a lot of people taking advantage of it.
Me too.
To get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. All right, Shannon, you were at DEF CON. We were not. A lot of news came across our desks. Sounded like it was a pretty interesting year.
It was, yeah. I did notice some trends this year. I love the fact that y'all covered the election voting village yesterday on the show, because that was very, very fascinating. The fact that I think that is Galois, I think that's how you say it, that they brought a open source platform there for the voting hacker village was very, very cool. And it was really nice to see that there is some growth in that community, because that is a very, very important platform that we need to make sure there's no attack vectors in. So even though there was a lot of downtime in that open source platform, that machine that was brought, they were still able to use it on the very last day. However, we're not going to see any kind of coverage from the election voting machine village at DEF CON for a couple of weeks, until they finally get all of that research done on those machines, and the people that were there, the hackers that were there, hacking on those machines all weekend, are able to release that content once they find all of the information that they want to put into reports. Mm-hmm. So we'll probably see more information in the future. What I thought was really fascinating about the election village was the fact that there were a lot of representatives that decided to come out and work alongside a lot of these hackers to see how these voting machines were being hacked and what kind of vulnerabilities were available. So, for example, US Representatives Ron Wyden from Oregon was there, Ted Lieu and Eric Swalwell from California. They were all there. A lot of them were kind of meandering with the hackers, trying to figure out what was going on, in the hopes that they would be able to strengthen cases that they could take to legislation, to Congress, for this proposed legislation regarding election security. We do know that there was a election security legislation that did get to Mitch McConnell, but it was turned down a couple of months ago. So I'm really hoping that with the election village, we start to see some changes and hopefully some actual proposed legislation that does get passed before election season comes in 2020. So they still have a year. We still have one more
Yeah.
DEF CON.
Is politicians kind of showing up at DEF CON and walking around with hackers and being seen? Is that new? Is that something that's been done before?
It is kind of new in the past, like 5 to 6 years. That is a fairly new concept. Back in the earlier 2010s, there was still this game called Spot the Fed that was played at DEF CON, where feds weren't necessarily welcome at the hacker conference. So if you spotted one, it was kind of a play-by-play, like, hey, we can take you in the back room. Both of you get challenge coins since you're a Fed and this hacker was able to spot you, and you both get T-shirts. So a hacker would get a T-shirt that said Spot the Fed, and the Fed would get one that says, like, I am a Fed or something like that. You don't have to wear it, but
right.
It's kind of a silly way to call
I wear
them
it to
out
the gym. wear it around the house.
So we didn't just see a whole bunch of like election village type of like ICS machines and stuff like that there, but we also saw a lot of consumer devices that were being hacked on as well. For example, I did want to throw a couple of out there. The Canon EOS 80D, there was a whole talk that was on this Canon DSLR camera, which apparently has several different vulnerabilities, which were found by Checkpoint's El Itkin. He was giving a talk about how he was able to find vulnerabilities on Canon firmware that would allow him to put malware on it and eventually allow him to ransom images. So, for example, in IoT, we see a lot of vulnerabilities that would allow somebody to hack into a network through some kind of pivot point and ransom your computer, just basically like shut it off and make you pay money, make you pay Bitcoins most likely, in order to gain access to your information again. And we're seeing a lot of cities being hit with ransomware as well. So apparently you can also get hit with ransomware, which will hold the images on your camera, even if they're on an SD card, ransom. How crazy is that?
Well, it sounds like, yeah, man, picture transfer protocol. It's something that it surprises me that we're just now hearing about it.
Yeah, honestly, me too, because cameras have been wirelessly or wired connected to computers for a very, very long time. And that's exactly what this researcher was trying to focus on, was the fact that as long as a thing has some kind of connection, there's likely a possibility that you can hack it. Even moving on from there, we saw other IoT devices like Leapfrog's LeapPad Ultimate. A researcher at Checkmarks was able to figure out that these little children's rugged tablets, and this is not the first kids IoT connected device to be hacked, these are usually used for education and games and stuff like that, learning for children. Well, apparently it can also be used for attackers. So they can figure out the device's location. They could send messages to kids and do man-in-the-middle attacks and find location data about the age and the name of children that are using these tablets. The messages to kids, when I was looking through the research on this, didn't seem too bad because it was based off of an app that only allowed you to send already spelled out messages. So
auto-generated
messages back and forth between other kids that are using these. But if they were able to gain access, which they easily could within the vicinity, if they had the information on this device, they could send one that said like, hey, come outside, let's go out to play. And if a child got this, they could eventually abduct a child. So there is
Ugh.
a little bit of there's some fear going on there because that is a potential for, you know, a child's safety. Luckily, in this case, Leapfrog did interact with check marks really, really quickly, and they were able to fix the vulnerability. However, some of the older tablets still have that vulnerability built into them, so they're hoping that lots of parents will be able to update their devices in the near future. Enterprise printers was another hack that I thought was hilarious. This involved lots of different brands: HP, Ricoh, Xerox, Lexmark, Kyocera, even Brother, which we've even used in our office spaces. They have flaws, allowing attackers to crash the entire printer, or they can also spy on print jobs. And since these are enterprise printers, that means that oftentimes there's a lot of very secure,
Sensitive information.
sensitive information that is being printed out on
Mm.
these machines. So the researchers in this case, they were able to work with all of these different printer manufacturers and get them updated. Each of the vulnerabilities have patches, which is great. They also brought to mind a very critical mention that printers should be thought of as IoT devices. A lot of times we don't look at them as such. We update them once when we plug them in and get a brand new one, and then we don't update them after that. So they made it very, very important, and they made it very clear that we should be treating everything that gets connected, even these older devices like printers, as IoT devices that have these vulnerabilities. So it was
Yeah,
an
the
interesting year.
Yeah, the IoT device vulnerability conversation, it seems like it's continuing to expand
It is.
as more and more folks are getting on the train of IoT devices because they're fun and they're convenient and it's cool. But there's a lot of vulnerabilities, which also leads to that goes back to the voting machines, the idea of having secure hardware that's local to the device that can protect you in situations. And yeah, when you throw kids' devices in there, it's just such another layer of people really needing to understand how this stuff works, and the companies being responsible for making sure that especially young people are safe.
Absolutely. I'm really happy that we have DEF CON as available to hackers and penetration testers because this time of year is when we see a lot of vulnerabilities come out, and a lot of these companies fix them too so that they can give these talks about these problems. So we're very lucky that we have this available to us. And I'm looking forward to next year too and seeing how the election village takes off from there.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably why politicians continue to go to DEF CON too, because politicians historically not always the most tech savvy crew. If you're hanging out at DEF CON, you can kind of get your persona into something that might help your platform in the future, not to name any names. Hey, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. We're also on Facebook. Join our group, facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow. In the mailbag today, Rami wanted to weigh in on our Chrome incognito discussion from yesterday's show. Rami writes, I agree that websites should not be able to detect that a person is using incognito mode, but websites are able to know the browser session is coming from the same person who used a different browser. Browser fingerprinting is easy. Rami then links us to an EFF article that explains more. He says, not to mention that ISPs can know the sites that you visit, not the single pages if the website uses TLS or SSL, but we don't need to confuse incognito with VPN. The main reason for incognito mode is for the browser not to use or save cookies and session data. I use incognito mainly to stop ad tracking, YouTube tracking, and news discovery for Google products. Rami says Google tracking is the most aggressive and annoying. If I open up a couple of websites about a topic, or I watch a couple of videos on a channel, then Google starts suggesting that topic and video everywhere. Rami says, I also use incognito when someone wants to check their email on a shared computer, because the incognito browser won't see logged in sessions and won't save new ones. Shannon, where do you stand on incognito mode? Because we were kind of talking yesterday, Tom and Roger and I, about, some people use it religiously. I'm sort of a, on and off kind of person, depending on what I'm doing.
I'm kind of on and off as well, and I realize that I am sacrificing some of my security for that convenience. I do want Google to give me the correct recommendations when I'm on YouTube. There are certain sites that I prefer to support whenever I know that they are tracking my location or my information whenever I'm visiting their website. Not many, but there's a few that I want to support. So I do use incognito mode when, for example, I'm traveling and I do need to connect to Wi-Fi. I will use that alongside a VPN, so I have kind of that double security. And he's right. We shouldn't be mixing incognito with VPN because they are used for separate entities, just like he said. And I'm sure y'all have discussed before. So yeah, I could definitely understand his point of view, and there are parts of it that I absolutely agree with. But I am definitely not a religious incognito mode user in any sense.
Yeah. Well, Shannon, we're glad you made it back from DEF CON in one piece, and we look forward to doing this all again next year. Let folks know where they can keep up with all your fabulous work.
Well, thank you. Yes, I lost my voice, but I'm here. Patreon.com/threatwire. I will be releasing a DEF CON wrap up over there as well, which will cover a ton of information about DEF CON, including some of the stories that we talked about here today on DTNS. So definitely check it out. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks to our patrons as well. You're wonderful folks. You can become a DTNS member and then you're a patron and get an ad-free RSS feed. You get special episodes, how we make the show, some behind the scenes stuff. Sometimes we look back on tech news of the past. Over the last week, Tom's most recent editor's desk covered public key cryptography. Roger's weekly newsletter covered productivity tips for file management. And you can get all of that along with DTNS and GDI as a patron. Sign up today, patreon.com/DTNS. Reminder, Tom Merritt is out because, well, he's going to Worldcon, but there is going to be a Dublin DTNS meetup. So if you are in Dublin on Saturday, August 17th at 6 p.m. at Laguna, which is right in front of Mayor Square, the stop anyway, on the Red Line, go say hi, buy him a beer. And please peruse our fine selection of DTNS stuff. Have you been there lately? Maybe you need a new t-shirt. Maybe you need a mug. dailytechnewsshow.com/store. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And we're live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. You can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. Back tomorrow with Scott Johnson. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Frog Pants Network. Get more shows like this at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I only heard the music at just the once at the beginning of the show. I hope Roger's still with us.
Oh, wait.
He was noticeably silent, but that's okay. I'll just assume.
Oh wait, did you not hear it?
We only heard it at the beginning. Although Shannon, you might have heard it throughout the show.
I didn't. No,
You didn't hear it at all?
We only heard it at the beginning of the show.
So wait, let me see.
The opening song we heard.
This
Did you
show
hear
is
this?
part of the
Oh, there
Frog
it is.
Pants Network. Frog Pants Network.
Well,
I hear that
Shows
now.
like this.
It's Chrome, or not Chrome. It's Hangout. Sometimes it tries to filter out audio. It thinks it's noise.
Yeah, but we were silent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I maybe I didn't crank it up high enough, but like,
Oh, well, apparently the internet heard it, so it's fine.
Oh, really? You guys heard that in the middle of the show and everything? If that's the case, then I won't worry about it. It's just us.
it's in my file that I'm recording.
Good. All right,
Awesome.
well, we're fine then.
Amos heard it, so it's all good.
Good.
Sometimes I'm worried that I
Improv the wait
blow.
time.
Sometimes I don't want to crank it up too high because sometimes people say that's too loud.
Well, whatever the volume was at the top of the show was perfectly fine.
That's where I left it. That's what's so odd.
That's so strange. Yeah, because we heard that, but it sounded normal.
I will. Yeah. So
But I don't. It is. I paused in all the ways I would have, if there was music.
Yeah,
so
no, that's great.
It shouldn't,
That's like,
yeah.
Just assume it's there because I'm
Yeah, that's
playing
fine.
it. I don't know. It's weird.
NP.
Ah. Well, another thing I like is the dtns.showbot.tv and gdi.showbot.tv.
That's right. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot.
Where
DTNS.
all of our fab listeners and viewers submit their choices.
Tumbling value. That's a good one.
That's a good
Bioko.
one.
I like that one.
Using the bang S command.
What do we want? Podcast analytics.
There's tumbling value. There's swipe to stock.
Swipe to stock.
A fire sale tumbles out.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Tumblr on automatic.
It would have to be with two T's, but that's a good one.
S in IoT stands for security. Get it? It's a joke. That's pretty funny.
That's funny.
Hey,
like
Spotify, Spot the Fed, a most def con. That's actually pretty good too.
Uh-huh.
Best DEFCON story. It's a photo finish. What do you think? Tumbling value.
Yeah, I think we either go with Tumblr or we go with DEF CON. I mean, DEF CON was our
Well, if
nice
it's DEF CON,
meaty discussion.
What tickles your toes, Shannon?
Let's see. I like a most DEF CON.
All right,
Most DEF CON. Great.
Most def.
Yeah.
Where did they?
I like most def.
Done.
Con.
Thank you, Fred 8819.
Fred, you're the best. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Fred 819.
Fred for Prez.
And he spelled DEF CON right.
What? I can't hear you.
I said Annie spelled DEF CON right.
I'm just kidding.
It's 2 words.
Oh, really? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I write it with 2 words usually. That's a good reminder. I thought you meant like, as in, hard of hearing deaf.
Yeah. DEF CON is 2 words.
2 words. All right.
Let's see. Put this in here. A most DEF CON. Originally, I called it DEF CON Info Jam, but I will change it to most DEF CON. Then, what do we want for GDI? Ice cream salad with your spirit animal?
Yes.
That's hard
Right.
to beat.
Protitude wins with ice cream salad with your spirit animal for GDI title.
Nice. Seeking balance in Rocky Road. That's a good one too. It's true. Well, that's, it's these little things that we tell ourselves, right? Like, well, I just want it to be symmetrical. So I should just have like,
Wait,
more.
What do you mean?
So that it's symmetrical.
Oh, the ice. Well,
Yeah.
do you,
Oh, shoot. I went a little too low. I should keep it symmetrical and go back to the other side now. It's impossible.
as long as it's not moded, I'm fine.
Moded?
Like,
when you do it all around the edge?
Yes.
Yeah. I do that sometimes because I can see where it's melting and I want the melt to go away. Because I don't want it to melt too much because then it's just like soupy and gross.
Yeah, but then it's like a
so when
mode
you
in
mode
itself.
it, then for me, it's like I wouldn't be able to sleep at night putting it back in the fridge that way. So I have to eat the hill in the middle.
The
And
king
then
of the ice
it's
cream
over.
film.
I've eaten the whole thing. Yeah.
It's eating ice cream. I didn't realize was such a diverse task. Like some people like licking ice cream. I can't stand licking ice cream. Like when people not even just ice cream cones. Some people just take a spoon and they'll just lick. Have you seen them? Like they'll just won't actually eat.
What? Like in a cup, they'll lick.
No,
the ice
they'll
cream
take it.
inside?
They'll take a spoon, but they'll just
Yeah.
kind of like lick. Not actually eat it.
Oh, where it sort of it takes a few spoon back and
Yeah.
forth. I do that because it's kind of melting in your mouth
Just take
over
a smaller bit.
couple.
It's just gross. I think me.
But it's only your mouth. What kind of germs are you adding? They were already there. I know. It just it's like it's the way certain people eat.
Yeah.
There's a certain kind of lip smack where I'm like, ugh.
Any lip
Please don't.
smack.
Yeah.
It drives me up
Right.
the wall.
Yeah, some people are worse than others.
There is a I don't want to call it disorder, but called misophonia, where people get a very adverse reaction if they hear people chewing. Like it's akin to having
dude.
your nails scratched
Oh.
on a chalkboard.
Ooh,
Like,
that's terrible.
I have that, something similar at least.
It's like,
Really?
you just
Yeah,
want to get
like
up and
it
punch
grosses-
someone. It's just like
It
stop.
grosses me out so bad if I can hear people smacking when they're eating. Ugh, I can't stand it.
I mean, I don't want to
Drives
say
me
I
nuts.
enjoy the sound of someone crushing food with their molars, but
Ew.
I don't hate it. I don't know. If I
I
was
do.
if I was eating my grape nuts right now, you would hear me chewing because they're kind of loud. And that if someone was doing that in front of me, I would be like, well, they're grape nuts. Obviously, they're gonna make a sound. I don't think it would bother me.
Aren't you lucky?
Probably depends on the person. There's probably someone out there who, if they eat grape nuts, I'm like, can't handle it.
It's
I'm telling you though, the grape nuts and the blueberries and cinnamon and pea milk.
That sounds really
is-
good.
Yeah, it was because it's the right amount of sweet because the blueberries give it a little sweetness.
Yeah.
I was gonna put honey on top, and then I was like, yeah. Then I just kind of make it a sugary cereal. So the cinnamon was an experiment, but I think it worked out well. You have to like cinnamon, but it was
I
good.
like cinnamon.
I do too.
cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
I used to have a problem
Cinnamon.
pronouncing that as a kid. Cinnamon.
Cinnamon.
I used to have a hard time saying chipotle. I said chiptoli.
Chiptoli. That's what it looks like.
It does, and I knew how to say it, and I just every time it came out of my mouth, I would just revert to the wrong way.
And I've mentioned this before, but the way British, Australians, and Canadians pronounce pasta drives me up the wall.
Pasta?
Pasta. Can't.
Pasta.
Why is it pasta?
Yeah.
I understand the word past is in it, but I don't know.
I used to
Well-
call it Chipotle, Chipotle, just to screw with people.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Yeah.
That just sounds like something to help someone go to the bathroom. I need a chipotle here.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it kind of does
Where's
help
your
you go to the
chipotle?
bathroom if you get the right kind.
Down the hall and to the left.
Oh yeah, you get the unwashed cilantro. I want the unwashed
Ew.
cilantro in my burrito bowl.
I there was a time where I grew up in California, so there was always Mexican food around. So I'm sure Chipotle was around, but I just don't remember hearing the word or seeing the word. I guess it was written
Yeah.
until I don't know, high school or something. And so it was Chipotle. And I'm sure someone corrected me at some point, right? Or I heard it on a commercial or something. And I was like, Chipotle? What? Chipotle is such a better word. It was like upsetting a little bit because I felt stupid, first of all, and I liked my way better.
I mean, there's a few things. I'm trying to think of all the things in life that I realized how you pronounced it, and I was like, what? Trying to remember.
Oh yeah. Oh, I've got a few of those too where I what's the one where it's a cluster of islands? What's that called?
Archipelago.
Yeah. I called it like an archipelago for a long time,
Oh.
which is not like that far off. You'd know what I meant, but
Well-
it was I said it wrong for like a decade,
I'm
like
trying
as a professional person at work.
to think the one that immediately comes to mind is La Jolla because I used to pronounce that
Yeah.
like Jola, like
Yeah,
it's on La Jolla,
yeah.
it's La Jolla.
Yeah.
But like, I'm trying to think of a store name. There's a store name that I used to mispronounce all the time.
A store name, like a department store.
Yeah, it was like a department or big name store.
Was it TJ Maxx?
No, it was something older, like something older, like around the time of like I Magnum and Bullock Jones,
Oh,
like
Yeah.
early '80s.
yeah. I don't.
Oh,
I mean-
Tanfran, right?
Tanfran?
Tanfran.
Tanfran.
I used
yeah.
to pronounce it
in,
Tanfran.
in
So it-
like San Bruno, right?
Yeah, the racetrack that used to that turned into a shopping center or
Yeah.
next to it, and I used to pronounce it Tanfran all the time. And when people said Tanfran, it's like, what the hell are you talking about?
You probably knew.
No, I did. That's like, wait,
You really? You were like, what is that?
Like what? I'm like, oh. You know, when you get 3 levels of, oh, wait a minute. Dun, dun.
Yeah, I know I have really good examples. I just can't think of right now. I'll think of them before the show tomorrow. But there's definitely. It was usually my mom being like, Sarah, that's not the way you pronounce it. Sometimes it'd be like a French word or something. So it's like, okay, I hear people mispronounce it exactly the same way to this day. And I'm just like, see, it's a thing.
And
It's just
yeah.
a common thing, you know?
And I want to shout out to Talyanar. See, I hope I'm pronouncing this name correctly. Talyanar. Talyanar.
Talinar.
Subscribe to Twitch Prime for
Woo!
2 months.
Talinar!
And,
Give yourself a pat on the back.
And Lion Jim,
rock.
like the animal lion, not subscribe with Twitch Prime. Subscribe for 4 months. Thank you, Lion Jim.
Yay, Lion Jim. Rawr. Okay, this is not about this is so weird. This is not about mispronouncing a word, but you've both seen the movie The Wizard of Oz, right?
Yes.
Yes, probably more than once.
The
I have seen it
classic.
at least several hundred times. And when they first meet the Cowardly Lion, before they know he's cowardly, he's kind of, he's trying to like scare them in the forest. And Dorothy smacks him on the nose and he starts crying. And he says, and he's like, he has like a Brooklyn accent, just because that's like how the actor talked, which is just like part of his character. But he talks about like how he's so tired, and he says, "Look at the cycles under my eyes. I haven't slept in weeks." And I always thought, and I remember saying at one point, like, because to me, I was like, I knew what he was saying, but I was like, oh, it's a cycle, like I don't know, like you get like
a circle.
cycles around
Like the
your eyes
cycle
when
of
you don't
life.
sleep. Yeah. And my mom was like, no, he's saying circle. It's just an accent. And I was like, I don't think so. I think he's saying cycle because that makes sense. And she was like, no, sir. Trust me, that's not what he's saying. What a weird memory. Just came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
That's
no,
so
they're
random.
like, yeah, like really, really strong accents, like New York, Brooklyn, Long Island, Jersey accents. Sometimes it takes me a couple of seconds because it sounds familiar, but you're not sure, and you don't want to agree or disagree with anything they've said until you've understood the sentence.
Yes. That happens to me with certain British accents too.
Yes.
Not all of them, but I've mentioned on the show before that I love that show Gogglebox. I watch it, well, not all the time, but I watch it sometimes. And depending on the location of the family watching the TV show, because it's about a bunch of people sitting on a couch talking about other TV shows, sometimes I'm like, I don't really know what they're saying. I kind of do, but at first listen, it almost sounds like a different language.
I remember my someone once said to me, "Oh yeah, that we were talking about devices," and so yeah, that person should get a patent. So a patent.
Like a patent?
Yeah, patent. But originally, a patent is like, do he need a new coat of paint on this product, or like I wasn't sure. It's like no, a patent.
I have never heard patent before.
Patent. Like that way, like they can make sure no one else can steal the idea. It's like a patent. No,
Yeah.
patent.
Right. And the person's probably like, that's
You're
what I
an
said.
Yeah. Although,
I don't think we have the issue anymore because it's so, the term is so pervasive, but people would say meme instead of meme.
Oh, I hate that. My
Yeah.
husband does that.
Does he still?
He does it now to annoy me, but he used to do it like naturally, and I would just be
Is that
like,
just the
"No,
way he
it's
read it?
meme."
Yeah.
a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see that new meme?
Stop!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, drives
know,
me almost as crazy as listening to people chew.
I-
Stop saying Mimi.
don't say Mimi. Shannon needs her rest.
She does.
Roger, what were you saying before I so rudely interrupted you?
Oh no! Like so there's that Filipino dessert like halo halo, but it's spelled halo halo, and that's how I always pronounced it. Until
That's
Grace
how-
says like, no, it's halo halo. It's like, all right,
Oh,
well, give
I
me
don't
that
even-
and a
That's good to
side
know.
with extra ube ice cream.
Well, and then you've got that ice cream called Halo Top,
Yes,
which just
which makes it more
further
confusing.
confuses everybody.
Ice cream always goes back to ice cream.
It does. It's like I could indulge, but we all know how that ends in shame
No,
and regret.
in happiness.
it
well,
ends.
but what I should do is just go get a scoop and eat it and be done with it. But then I'm always like,
You know it's not gonna
"Well,
happen.
But I have to go
What's
to the
some
grocery
more?
store anyway,
So
so I
just
might
buy
as
a
well
half
just get a
gallon.
pint. Yeah,
Get a half gallon.
I should get something that's a size so large that I can't finish it.
But see,
physically
then you
can't.
said about trying to beat your record, and you end up with an empty half-gallon carton. But you'll
Yeah, and then I
enjoy
just do
it.
the same thing the next day, and then I'm worse off. Terrible idea. I don't know. It's not even all sweets. I can have, even though I like hot tamales, it's like, I still have some hot tamales that Tom gave me on the last round that I haven't gotten into. I'm okay with rationing sweets, but ice cream can't be done.
What about other sweet things like fruit?
I mean, I eat fruit just if it's around, like I have a grapefruit in my little fruit basket now. I'll probably have half of it for breakfast tomorrow. Yeah, I don't binge on fruit.
I binge on it if I think it's going to expire, or if it's like a strawberry and I see like, oh no, there's some mold on one of these. Then I plow through the entire thing.
Eat the rest of them. Yeah, right. I mean, I always have blueberries because they're just a fun thing to throw on top of stuff. Yogurt or grape nuts or whatever. I haven't bought a banana in a while. I don't have a good reason for that.
I need a banana hook. I just realized, leaving my bananas on top of the fridge is making them prematurely brown.
Is a hook actually? Does it help
supposedly
the browning process slow?
Yeah, it supposedly
because
slows
they're
it down.
like being held vertically.
Yeah, something about like you need the airflow all around the banana. Like you just can't lay it on its side.
Oh,
I didn't know that. I've never heard
that was a thing.
That's cool.
I was thinking of making my own, but those hooks are like $2. So cheap. I mean, I can make one.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really just use a dish hook, right?
Yes.
And put it wherever, adhere it.
But the thing is, bananas stick out, right, from the top.
Yeah,
so
yeah. So you need it to like be off. The
it needs to
wall
be freestanding. I mean, you could use it on a coat rack, or
Yes. Welcome to my home. Don't worry, just hang your coat up next to the bananas.
Just make it look like a palm tree.
There you go.
Right next to your front door. Just stick a whole bunch of like palm leaves at the top of your coat rack so nobody notices. They just think you're growing bananas in your front.
Bananas and pajamas.
Speaking of bananas, that would have made my cereal concoction even better this morning because I love bananas and cinnamon. Why didn't I think of that? What is wrong with me?
I don't even like bananas.
You don't?
No.
Why not?
No.
Even with peanut butter?
No, I don't like them.
You don't like banana?
It's the taste. I don't like the taste.
Wait, is it the taste of just your standard supermarket banana? Because there are
it's anything banana. It's bananas. It's cut up bananas. It's banana.
Well, no,
flavor.
but I'm saying like they're different other cultivars of bananas.
I've tried plantain. I think
plantains aren't sweet. They're very starchy.
Yeah,
plantains are distantly related to bananas.
I prefer a banana over a plantain.
There's like in Hawaii they grow these. They're like finger something bananas. They're very short, about this long, but they're super. They taste similar to banana, but they taste totally different. It's hard to describe. Like, they're really good. Like when we Airbnb'd a place on the Big Island, on the property, those were just growing, and we just pull them off, eat them.
That's cool.
Feel like natives, or maybe primordial monkeys or something. Scavenging for food.
In the backyard of your Airbnb.
With the swimming pool. Have the outdoor shower and the view of the ocean. All that stuff that ancient monkeys did.
Right, yeah.
You can tell I need ice cream and bananas. So we're going to leave it there. Any final words for our GDI audience?
I think you're all wonderful. And let's do this again tomorrow.
Yes, let's do it with
Until
Scott
then,
Johnson.
good day.
Good day.